You're watching Cakeland. This is Cake News.
Tornadoes touchdown in Kansas and Oklahoma. Now, this is video of a tornado touchdown in South Haven in Sumner County this afternoon. And strong winds and hail caused damage to homes and property in Wichita and surrounding areas. We'll take a closer look at the damage coming up. Good evening, everyone. We are still tracking that severe weather. First Alert meteorologist Blake Smith here now with an update on the storms. Blake.
Yeah, Larry, good news. No severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings in effect anywhere within Cakeland. We are tracking a severe storm, though, over the border into Osage County, Oklahoma. That will continue to work its way off to the northeast. So if it holds together, it might actually clip Sedan and eastern portions of Chautauqua County. But again, that's about it. Most of the severe weather is well off to our east. We are tracking a couple of different things, though. First, the storm near Sedan. Nothing happening around Wichita. You see all that blue? That's kind of clutter around the radar. Nothing happening in the Wichita metro area. We did have a severe storm at one time over by Dodge City. It has now pushed over toward Larned and Kinsley. It's not severe, but as it presses over toward Great Bend, you might see some heavy rainfall as well as some brief winds around 40 to 50 miles per hour. Everything's starting to calm down all across the state, which is great news, especially considering what we saw earlier this afternoon. As far as temperatures right now, we're talking about temperatures into the 60s and the 70s, and you can see the watches, the warnings mainly confined to the extreme southeastern portion of Kansas. When you wake up tomorrow morning, we're talking about temperatures starting off into the 60s, and we're into the 60s right now. So 60s when you start off tomorrow morning, 61 as you head out the door around 6 o'clock, 63 by 8 o'clock. It is possible we'll see more storms again tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk about this severe threat for Monday coming up in a few minutes. Larry.
Blake, thanks. Well, what was most likely a tornado tore through southwestern Sedgwick County this afternoon, causing heavy damage and knocking out power for thousands of people. Kake's Parrish Allman now begins our team coverage near 135th West and 55th Street South with a look at some of the wind damage. Parrish.
Well, Larry, we have just received confirmation that it was an EF1 tornado that tore through southwestern Sedgwick County. The tornado itself was about a half-mile wide and caused a path of damage just over 4.5 miles long. Now, here in this area near Clearwater, the tornado damaged homes, trees, and a lot of power lines. You can see right here, this is just one of many power lines laying down in the roads. And if you look just behind me, you can see Westar crews are actually here on the scene working to get all these power lines back up and running. But while they're working and while all these lines are down in the roads, sheriff's deputies have closed off most of the streets in this area because they say it's just not safe for drivers to be out here. Power poles and tree branches snapped in half, roads covered with power lines, damage caused likely by a tornado.
You can look right out there, you can see that the irrigation lines are down, and from the damage, I would say it's a tornado, it's not just straight line winds.
3 homes in the 5,000 block of 119th Street were heavily damaged, including Chuck Walton's home.
We've sustained quite a bit of damage, mainly just to trees and outbuildings and that sort of thing, and then a little bit of roof damage to the house.
You can see in this picture, Walton says his carport was destroyed and the car parked in it damaged. But he says his trees, they took the biggest hit.
It didn't take long to do a lot of damage. We've got some 100-year-old trees that are laying on their sides.
Walton sent us these pictures because we can't get back to his home yet. Sheriff's deputies have closed off most of the roads in the area because of all the down power lines.
Everything between 135th and Tyler shut down between 55th and 47th.
Sheriff Easter says these roads will be closed all night and into the morning until crews can clear the power lines off the roads. Chuck Walton tells us he and his neighbors will be hard at work, too, trying to clean up and repair the damage to their homes.
We're just going to work until dark makes a stop, and then we'll hit it again tomorrow.
We do want to give you a closer look at the road closures in this area. If you look at this map, basically all the roads between 135th and Tyler are shut down between 55th and 47th. These roads will be closed all night and into the morning, so it could affect your daily commute. Also, because of the power outages in the area, a lot of the traffic lights are out right now, including all along 42. So just drive carefully and treat those as stop signs. Live in southwestern Sedgwick County, Parrish Solomon, Cake News.
Thanks, Parrish. And here again is that tornado touchdown from South Haven that we showed you at the start of the show. Now, the video was shot by a photographer storm chasing in that area. Now, the storm downing power lines near 45th and Woodlawn here in Wichita, and at one point tonight, about 12,000 Westar customers in Sedgwick County were without power. At last check, however, about 4,700 people are still without power in the county, about 1,900 in Geary County. And in Greenwood County, about 1,500 people there have no power, and 470 in Butler County. Westar says they expect all power to be restored by late tomorrow night. Well, with a tornado being sighted near Wichita's Mid-Continent Airport this afternoon, at least 4 flights scheduled to land were diverted to other airports. A United Airlines flight from Denver was diverted to Garden City. Another United flight from Chicago then went on to Tulsa. An AirTran flight from Atlanta to Wichita landed in Kansas City instead, and a Delta flight from Minneapolis went to Tulsa. All those flights have now landed at Wichita's Mid-Continent Airport following the passage of that storm. Now, on the ground, the rain fell so quickly that it overwhelmed some storm drains on Wichita City streets. Not a big surprise to a lot of motorists. Take West Street, for example, near the 8th Street intersection, for example. The water rose so rapidly it surprised a lot of drivers. Some ended up stalled with either their cars flooded to the point they wouldn't run, or their motors were steaming from the water their engines took in. Well, the damage from the storm surprising many homeowners in northeast Wichita. Our team coverage now continues with KAKE's Jason Tarr, who went home by home to see what the wind and hail left in its wake.
It's just like constant.
The wind, it was just unbelievable how the hail and everything was just coming straight sideways.
When the beating from that golf ball size hail was over,
That is unreal. That's all I can say about it.
this is what northeast Wichita homeowners like Jim Rolston and Jason Cox found.
When I finally came out and saw the damage, I just shook my head.
Double paned windows, and it's even got broke into the second pane. As far as the hail goes in this area, this is the worst.
While that hail came down, Lamar Crowder was in Andover. He saw video of his home in one of our live reports on KAKE News and rushed back to see it for himself.
It's a mess. The siding on the right side or the west side is all torn on all the way back to the rear.
The damage to the vinyl siding of his home and many others in this neighborhood, perhaps the most stark reminder of the power of the storm.
Start making calls, call the insurance company. That's what we pay for every month.
But while Crowder and others prepare each month, each year for things like insurance, it's another thing to see the damage once it happens and know just how close they were to having a much worse situation on their hands.
That's something I did not want to experience again.
In northeast Wichita, Jason Tarr, KAKE News.
Thanks, Jason. Now here's a look at some of the damage near 47th and Tyler, west of Hayesville. People there cleaning up debris from their yards as tree limbs and power lines were also downed in that area. There was also some flooding there, too. Well, our team coverage now continues with how that fierce wind and powerfully destructive hail shattered windows in northeast Wichita. That's where we find KAKE's Chris Frank. Chris.
Good evening, Larry. Just look at this downed tree. This fallen tree, just an example of the power of this fierce storm. We found many people in the Willow Bend neighborhood cleaning up their messes.
About 150 windows are busted out.
That's 150 windows from the 176-unit La Crosse apartments. Property manager Lisa Aiken says their entire staff and extra family members are on site boarding up those windows with plywood.
Everyone's just pulled together to assist because I think we have another storm rolling in, so we want to get all the windows covered now.
That's what many in this northeast area of Wichita are thinking about right now, covering broken windows and skylights as best they can to keep further property damage from happening while they wait for permanent repairs.
We just took cover and hoped for the best.
While Maurice Galaviz and Amy Orr were sheltering in the basement, destructive hail was pummeling their house. As soon as the storm passed, Galaviz climbed the roof to cover a broken skylight that was letting water into the house.
I mean, we can't dictate the weather. I mean, KAKE's got a pretty good idea what it's doing, so we really depend on them and we watch them for the guidance and then take cover and then come out and assess it and just live day by day and see what happens tomorrow. Everything will take care of itself.
There are a lot of folks counting their blessings, knowing how close they came to further damage. That includes Ken and Sylvia Carson. Their mature Bradford pear tree has endured numerous storms, but the fierce wind was too much this time.
Is that no one got hurt and we're all safe. You know, God was with us.
That's the best news from this area. No one got hurt. Now, trees can be replaced, but I got to tell you, the Carsons tell me they won't replace it with another Bradford pear. We're live in Northeast Wichita. Chris Frank, KAKE News.
Look at the tree damage. Look at all the debris in the air.
Kansas isn't the only state being hit by severe weather. Here's video of a tornado touchdown near Oklahoma City, just one of several. It kicked up debris and threatened a number of attractions on historic Route 66. State of emergencies have been declared in 16 Oklahoma counties as a result of these storms. And remember, now you can get the latest information on breaking news, weather, and other updates sent to your phone. Just go to KAKE.com and click on alerts. And of course, stay with KAKE News for continuing coverage of these spring storms. We'll have live reports with updates on damage tomorrow on Good Morning Kansas. Plus, Ben will have a complete look at weather to get your day started. That's tomorrow on Good Morning Kansas, starting at 4:30 a.m. Well, coming up, we'll share more of your weather pictures, plus a look at damage done in other parts of the state, including a camper rescue in Geary County. That, plus another look at the weather headed your way.
This is KAKE News at 10 with Larry Hatterberg. Sports with Shane Ewing and meteorologist Jay Frater with your KAKE First Alert forecast. Always tracking, always alerting, always protecting. KAKE News.
Just a quick reminder now, normally at this time we have the Hatterberg's People segment, but due to the severe weather in the Wichita area today and the subsequent coverage, Hatterberg's People will return next week. But right now, we do continue to track those storms and the damage throughout KAKE land. KAKE's Parrish Allman now live in southwest Sedgwick County with an update. Parrish.
Larry, we have confirmed that it was an EF1 tornado that tore through this area, doing a lot of damage. It actually snapped power poles in half, and you can see behind me, left many lines dangling or laying in the roads. Westar crews are here on scene right now trying to get those power lines back up and running. There were 3 homes in the area that were heavily damaged, but even though all 3 homes were occupied when the tornado hit, nobody was hurt. Now, right now, we're at 135th and 55th, and you can see as the crews are working, deputies have most of the roads between here and Tyler completely shut down. So if you have to be in this area for your morning commute, you'll want to plan ahead. For now, we're live in southwestern county. Parrish Allman, KAKE News.
Thanks, Parrish. And of course, people sharing pictures now at KAKE.com. These are the weather pictures done during the day. Now, here's a picture of damage done to chimney at a home near 45th and Rock Road in Wichita. Now, another threat tonight, of course, is flooding. It occurs every time there's a storm. This is a picture of streets flooded near 13th and Main. And now here's a picture of baseball-sized hail that fell near 37th and Rock earlier tonight. And here's kind of a special picture. It's Roger Reed Miller's car. It was damaged by hail tonight. He may talk more about that on his program. And finally, Charles sent us this picture of himself kayaking in flooded streets near 21st and Amadon in Wichita. Looks pretty peaceful, doesn't it? Well, it wasn't when the storm went through. You can send your weather pictures to weatherpictures@KAKE.com.
Now with the most accurate forecast in Kansas, here's KAKE First Alert meteorologist Blake Smith.
And within KAKE land right now, no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We are tracking some strong storms, though, down toward Osage County, Oklahoma. Those will continue to work their way off to the northeast. And in fact, we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for the southeastern portion of Chautauqua County, just to the east of Sedan. This storm will continue to progress off to the northeast, so we could see some quarter-sized hail and maybe some 60-mile-per-hour winds. But notice we don't have a whole lot going on anywhere across the rest of the state. There was an isolated shower just to the southwest of Great Bend, but nothing severe at that time. So again, southeastern portion of Chautauqua County under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. We still officially have 2 counties within KAKE land. That's Elk as well as Chautauqua under a tornado watch until we hit midnight tonight. Here in Wichita right now, we have a mostly cloudy sky, but it is dry. At one time this afternoon, we had 0 visibility here in the metro. 64 over at the airport. The wind's variable at 3 miles per hour, and our dew point is still up there at 60 degrees, so it is possible that overnight we could see an additional storm or 2, but the chance is starting to go down. 57 right now, some cooler air over toward Dodge City. It's 56 in Goodland, still at 61 in Great Bend, as well as for Salina, and at 64 in Hutchinson. Still some moist air in place across south central and southeast Kansas, so that's why we're going to keep a slight chance for storms in the forecast from Salina down toward Wichita and points eastward overnight. And then we We could do it all over again for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and take you hour by hour. At 11 o'clock tonight, most of the activity will be to the east of Wichita. Hour by hour, trying to break out a couple of isolated showers and storms around the metro at that time. The chance, again, pretty slim. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, I think we'll all be dry with the sun and cloud mix. But by the afternoon, we're going to start to see a few more showers and a few more storms develop. Maybe a few across southwest Kansas, but I actually think a better chance across the extreme southeastern part of Kansas. I know hour by hour not picking up on it, but we're putting in a better chance across the southeastern part of the state. And then that will be out of here for Tuesday and Wednesday before it's back to the storm chance again on Thursday and Friday, and then once again for Saturday. So stormy weather will be around the next couple of days. Maybe a stray storm overnight, 50s to around 60 degrees for a low in south central Kansas. And then for your day on Monday, lower to middle 80s, maybe an isolated severe storm late in the afternoon. North central Kansas will drop back into the 50s to near 60 degrees overnight, maybe a stray storm or two. And then for your Monday, we're looking for highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Again, the better storm chances will be east of 135. Southwest Kansas, we might be talking about a few storms tomorrow, but for tonight, 40s and lower to middle 50s for lows. And then as we head throughout the day tomorrow, mainly dry, but a stray shower or storm cannot be ruled out, especially the farther east that you go. Over the next couple of days, we're talking about a lull in the activity as we head toward Tuesday and Wednesday. But by the time Thursday, Friday, and Saturday roll around, yet another chance for showers and storms coming on through for Wichita and for Hutchinson. And again, some of those might be strong to possibly severe. North central Kansas will make it into the 70s the next few days, and then back to the 80s by next weekend. And we'll bring back the chance for showers and storms as well by the time we hit Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Southwest Kansas, you'll probably catch a break tomorrow, maybe a storm or two, but back to the storm chances again by Thursday and Friday, and highs back near 80 degrees by the end of the work week. And across the Northwest, we'll drop back to the lower 70s on Tuesday, but back to the 80s and more summer-like conditions by next Sunday, 86 degrees for Goodland and for Colby. So we did have those tornadoes for today. Luckily, no significant damage and no deaths, no injuries being reported. So it was a good day in Cakeland in that respect.
It was a very good day in Cakeland today, and I know you'll be monitoring it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, an elderly couple grateful to be alive and in relatively good health after strong winds in Milford State Park overturned their camper, and this occurred yesterday. Firefighters rescued the couple, who were then taken to a hospital where they were treated for minor injuries.
The wind just came up all of a sudden, and the RV started shaking. We were from this RV over here, and the window blew in, broke in, and other than that, then it was over real quick. I'm thankful that we weren't hurt more than we were.
Doesn't it?
Our vehicle.
The couple's camper was not the only casualty of the storm. It downed trees and power lines all across Geary County, leaving some areas without power. Stay with us. Sports is next.
Now with sports from all across Cakeland, here's Kake sports anchor Chris Fry.
Despite a less than average regular season, Wichita State baseball, well, they managed to compete for a conference title final day of the year. They'll take that 35 record into next week's Missouri Valley tournament. Well, they'll look to clinch an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. A sweep of Northwestern this helped with confidence and momentum. They head to Illinois State.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was. I mean, we found out that we didn't win, but just sweeping these guys was a huge booster.
It is what it is. We're going to go in there and do our best. We have to win the tournament to get the regional anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We're just going to have to go play hard and play well.
Shockers take on Southern Illinois on Tuesday. Finally in the NBA, you didn't see because of our incredible storm coverage. You didn't miss much because it was all Spurs from the tip. 14 of 29 behind the arc. San Antonio, 8th conference final in 16 years. They showed that experience, Larry. And by a count of 105-83. I know we got a lot of football saying, hey, you're interrupting our game. But when it's about storms and tornadoes and lives are involved, who cares? You missed a great game. You missed a blowout.
Exactly. You know, and there'll be another game.
There are 7 games in this series.
Exactly.
So there you go.
All right. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Everyone wants to make sure they're going to be safe overnight, so how does the radar look?
Yeah, it looks like it's starting to calm down, which is good news. We might see a couple of more storms overnight, and we do continue with the severe thunderstorm warning for extreme southeastern portions of Chautauqua County. That's until 11 o'clock, but you can see the rest of KAKE land is pretty much high and dry. So tomorrow morning starting off at 60 degrees, but by about 3 o'clock and beyond, we'll have about 20-30% chance for a few more storms here in Wichita with a high right around 80 degrees.
All right, we are forewarned, and that is it for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good evening, everybody.
For up-to-the-minute news and weather, stay connected to KAKE News with Facebook, Twitter, and KAKE.com. Always tracking, always alerting, always protecting. KAKE News.